Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate, day number 569, October the 6th, 2018, Saturday. Happy Saturday morning. Good morning. It's going to be a great day because today Judge Kavanaugh is going to be confirmed. Manchin will vote for Kavanaugh. Susan Collins will vote for Kavanaugh. Even Jeff the Flake is going to vote for Kavanaugh. For confirmation. Winning! Are you tired of winning? Good. I didn't think so. Looks like Barbara Murkowski would be the only Republican that would not vote for Kavanaugh. And it's funny that after she made this announcement, Sarah Palin reminded her that she still lives in Alaska too, and is suggesting that maybe in 2022, when Murkowski is up, that she may be facing a runoff with Sarah Palin. Now, Sarah Palin, she's kind of cute. She means well. She's kind of dumb, but she'd be a hell of a lot better than Murkowski. A hell of a lot better than Murkowski. Would love to have Sarah Palin. She's more, I would see her more in Congress than as a senator, but quite honestly, when you look at the talent pool in the Senate, I would say that Palin would do well, considering the standards been lowered in the past 40, 50 years or so. Just the bar just keeps going down and down. Senators used to be, they were the highly educated, they were the men. Our founders' idea was that the senators would be the body of the sane people, like the House would be the crazy people, the farmers, the locals and stuff like that, and that you would need a Senate of these men who our founders believe would be men who would be so wealthy that they couldn't be bought, that they would essentially be like retired, maybe own a bunch of businesses, own a bunch of investments and properties and stuff like that. They would be so wealthy that they couldn't be bought. They would also be very intelligent, very educated. They would be the ones to look at and make sure that the House didn't go off the rails. They were supposed to be the check on the House to make sure they didn't do anything too crazy. But that's all changed. Now, when you see some of the morons that we have in the Senate, it's clear that the bar has been completely lowered. And so, therefore, when you look at it like that, Sarah Palin could easily fit in the Senate, and she would be far better than Murkowski. Far better than Murkowski. Her days are definitely numbered. And I wouldn't expect that she's going to be able to bring back many goodies for the folks in Alaska. She's going to be on the shit list, on the do not call list. Don't call us, we'll call you, Barbara. And we ain't going to call you. You're done. Cut off. So that's how that looks. But anyway, it's going to be a great day because Judge Kavanaugh is going to be confirmed. Now, the big news that everybody is talking about besides that is what we have learned in the last 24 hours. And it is just as we all suspected. Now, I've been reading the comments. I've been pretty busy the last couple days. We've been working a lot of overtime, and I haven't had a chance to comment on a lot of the comments, but I have been scanning down and reading through them. And this past week and a half or so, everyone, it seems like, in the comments section is totally on board with what I've been saying, what others been saying, which is that none of us really believed the scam, the Blasey Ford scam. None of us believed the Professor Ford scam. We all saw through it. That's why I have the most intelligent subs on any YouTube channel I've ever seen. My subs are consistently intelligent, smart, and make the right call. So I'm reading through the comments. I can't find a single comment in the last 4 or 5 videos of a single person on this channel that bought into the Blasey Ford BS. Not a one. Not a one. Everyone in agreement. Nobody fooled. Nobody fooled. Now it turns out, as usual, we've been all proven correctamundo once again. Let's review. So, just as we suspected, there is strong evidence that the smear campaign against Kavanaugh was an orchestrated event just like the deep state coup, the frame-up, whatever you want to call it. And it appears it was coordinated by the very same deep state goon squad, the usual suspects. Same people were behind it. Now, let's dig a little deeper, and this is coming to you from Sundance over at Conservative Treehouse. This past Thursday, the FBI sent the Senate Judiciary Committee their findings on the Kavanaugh investigation into the allegations of Blasey Ford and others. The FBI found nothing to corroborate the accusations, any of them. The FBI found nothing. But the FBI also sent along an additional package of information that included messages from Ms. McLean to Ms. Kaiser. They sent this information to Grassley's committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee. And this information included texts, messages, and according to the Wall Street Journal, it shows that McLean was directing Kaiser to modify her statements to make them more favorable to Ms. Ford. Ms. Kaiser also told the FBI on her third interview with them that she felt pressured by Dr. Ford's allies to revisit her initial statement that she knew nothing about the alleged sexual assault by a teenage Brett Kavanaugh. Remember, this is one of the three witnesses, supposedly a lifelong friend of Blasey Ford, who was supposed to back her up. But when questioned, she said, and she made the statement under perjury of under penalty of perjury. She made her statement to the Senate Judiciary Committee saying that she didn't even know Brett Kavanaugh and could not corroborate the event that Blasey Ford described. Couldn't say that she was at this party, didn't know anything about this party, could not remember this party, knows nothing about it. That is the statement that they were trying to get her to change, which she would have been lying. She would have been, lying under oath. She had already made her statement. So why they were trying to coerce her into changing her statement and perjuring herself is beyond me. They must have been desperate, or must think she's stupid, but she's got legal representation too. Her attorney is not going to let her back out of her statement and change her statement after she's already made it. That would only raise more questions. What's interesting is that when the FBI did this investigation, that they discovered something about McLean, and they decided to go back and look at these text messages. I wonder what other text messages they looked at. And between who? Something tells me we're going to find out more, because I think that there's probably now some kind of an FBI investigation going on that we don't know about. They had to send this stuff over to the Senate because they were obligated to, because they were doing the investigation for the Senate, for the confirmation hearing. And they sent along what they needed to send along to cover their butts on that. But the FBI, obviously, if they looked at these texts, they looked at other texts. And they probably found a lot of things that they're probably digging into right now. I think we're going to learn a lot more, and this thing ain't over for Blasey Ford and her deep state friends like Ms. McLean. So this information is now, of course, public. And as a result, McLean's lawyer has responded. And who is her lawyer? David Laufman. And he's saying, what, you're suggesting my client tried to talk Miss Kaiser into changing her statement? That's ridiculous. She would never do such a thing. Oh yeah? Well, the FBI has got the text proving that she did exactly that, Mr. Laufman. And who is Mr. Laufman? Do we all remember Mr. Laufman? That's right. Mr. Laufman was the DOJ NSD, that's the National Security Division, Deputy Assistant Attorney General in charge of counterintelligence, cybersecurity, and counterespionage. Laufman was an insider and a co-perpetrator in the Carter Page FISA fiasco and all the other crimes associated with the deep state coup. He was a key player, and he was a member of the small group put together by Comey, J. Edgar Comey, to fix the Rotten Reverend Clinton email investigation and to frame Trump. Loffman resigned from the DOJ in February 2017 without notice, citing personal reasons. Some of them, or since then, since he resigned, he has been working for the Resistance, otherwise known as Lawfare, the anti-Trump Benjamin Witt's criminal outfit that's behind a lot of these attacks. Many of them, admittedly. It also seems very likely that McLean was with Blasey Ford when she sent that letter or wrote that letter that went to Feinstein. Diane Turn In Your Guns, Mrs. America Feinstein. You see, we know that prosecutor Mitchell, Rachel Mitchell, asked Ford if she had help composing the letter that she wrote to Turn In Your Guns, Mr. and Mrs. America Feinstein, which would have been the second letter she wrote. And when she was asked if she had any help with that, or if she did it on her own, Blasey Ford said no, she wrote the letter on her own, didn't have any help. But Blasey Ford says that she was in Delaware when she wrote the letter. That is the exact same city, and in the exact same city where her friend, Ms. McLean, lives. Of course, McLean also signed the letter to Congress vouching for Blasey Ford. McLean was, of course, a 24-year employee of the DOJ and the FBI from 1992 to 2016, worked in the Southern District of New York under Preet Bharara. And of course, now that we've seen her picture, we can also see that she was seated right behind Blasey Ford at the hearing. McLean is totally connected to the deep state, to the players that orchestrated the failed coup against Trump. Monica McLean has a lot of questions to answer. So does her lawyer, Mr. Loffman. So, what are we looking at here? Well, I think it's pretty obvious what we're looking at here. And I think the operative word that we're looking at here is fuckery. More fuckery. That's what we're looking at here from the usual suspects. Same guys. Same guys. All connected. Just as we all suspected. And the only question still remains, was Blasey Ford being used as a patsy, as a pawn, or is she in on it? That's the only question that remains. And I think she was in on it. I don't think she's that stupid. I think it was all an act. The little girl voice, acting like she's kind of confused, almost like she's light in the loafers, kind of flighty, kind of an airhead. You know, that whole, bimbo sort of thing going on. I mean, I just don't buy it. I just don't buy it. She's a woman of the world. She's not some naive little kitten. Not at all. I'm not buying it. I think she was a part of this plot. Completely. And I think it will be exposed because obviously the FBI has obviously got the text messages between McLean and Kaiser. So they've obviously, I would think, have gone back and looked at text messages between Blasey Ford and her attorneys, possibly, Feinstein or people on her staff, and Blasey Ford, the Washington Post, anything they can learn about that, probably investigating that angle. There's a lot of things to be looked at here, and I wouldn't be surprised if there is an internal investigation going on. Because keep in mind what we're actually talking about here. They tried to railroad a Supreme Court nominee with lies and a frame-up operation. The same thing they tried to do to Trump. And they don't think they're going to be held accountable for that, but they're wrong. Because I can assure you, Trump is not going to let these people slide. Oh, he's definitely got a plan. And I assume that as soon as the midterms are over and we have a big victory, he's going to start lowering the boom. Mr. Loftman has a lot of criminal liability from the previous scam, and he's already moved on to the next one. He's double dipping in the deep state coup. And my friends, this is not going to stop. This is why these people must be exposed and thrown in prison. This is why. Because they're never going to stop. After Kavanaugh, it'll be something else. And after that, there'll be something else. And after that, there'll be something else. They are never going to stop. Ever. Never. They must be stopped. And the only way to do that is expose the crimes, expose them for the crimes they committed, and then throw their asses in prison. And maybe the ones who happen to slip through the cracks will be frightened enough that they'll hunker down and give it up, realizing that there is some accountability, because we now have a president who's not going to let you play with him that way and screw him like that and then walk away and do nothing. Trump's not just going to let this go, I'm telling you. A lot of people think he's just going to let it slide. He's not. He's being very tactical. I'm absolutely sure that he's got a plan, and I think the first part of the plan is he knows he has to hold on to both houses of Congress and win the midterms. And I think after that, he's going to take off the gloves. Also, with the revelations that came from Mr. Baker and the hearings with the Goodlatte Committee, learned a lot of things. There's much more to come, my friends. And don't forget, the Gubarev versus BuzzFeed case convenes again November 15th. And remember that long list of witnesses, of people who the judge ordered must stand for deposition. Many of those hierarchy of the DNC, the FBI, the DOJ have to stand for deposition for Mr. Gubarev's lawyers. And Mr. Gubarev's lawyer has stated that he will be sharing that information from those depositions with any congressional committee that is interested. And I can assure you, there'll be a couple of congressional committees who will be very interested in the depositions of all these high-level DNC, DOJ, and FBI people. They'll be in civil court, under oath, in depositions. So Grassley has obviously figured out all of this because he has sent a letter to Turn In Your Guns, Mr. and Mrs. America Feinstein, and to Blasey Ford's lawyers. He wants the therapy notes, the polygraph materials, and all communications between Blasey Ford and the Washington Post. He wants everything on Leland Kaiser, Ramirez, and Swetnick too. The FBI is likely going to investigate this McLean issue, and Grassley will do the same, I'm sure. Is it going to be a great day or what? Kavanaugh's getting confirmed, and the perps are going to be exposed. Once again, I just hope they're held accountable. Heidi Heitkamp has basically said that she is not going to vote for Kavanaugh, and she has essentially now conceded her race because she backed out of the debate, which I think was supposed to be Friday night, last night. She was supposed to have a debate with her challenger. She backed out of the debate after announcing she would not vote for Kavanaugh. She was 10 points down at that time. Now she's probably going to go 20 points down. She's basically conceding defeat. Of course, we can see that the left-wingers, Hollywood, the media, the whole nine yards, they're all melting down as we speak because they know Kavanaugh is going to be confirmed. They will have been foiled again. Their plot, just like the plot against Trump, has failed. And their day is coming. Their plots have failed, but they have not been held accountable and exposed fully. But they will be. Trust me. Trust me. They will be. Be patient. There is a plan. Trust me. I just know it. I just know it. So at this point, I would not expect, I mean, when you look at the liberals, they have had so many disastrous, massive losses. Their current state of mind, they're mostly psychotic at this point. I would not be surprised to start seeing suicides. I mean, how much losing and failure can you tolerate when you're as nutty as these people? After the Kavanaugh confirmation, and with the left realizing that they're going to get their asses kicked in the midterms, it's now time to put the liberals on suicide watch. They should all be on suicide watch, and you should be on the watch for them too. As you're driving your car down a busy street, pay attention. See if there's any pig pussy hats standing on the curb, waiting to launch themselves into traffic. If you're driving by any tall buildings, you might have a look up and make sure that there's no social justice warrior swan diving into the street. You don't want them to land on your windshield. Could cause serious injury and damage to your vehicle. They could be blowing themselves up, shooting themselves, poisoning themselves. There's lots of ways that the loony lefties could take themselves out of the game. After all, look at the state of mind that they're in. Completely psychotic at this point. So much failure, so much losing. How much more can they take? And if this doesn't do it, if the Kavanaugh thing doesn't do it for them, what do you think will happen to them in the midterms? I mean, we saw them in 2016. They're much worse now than they were then. Many of these people should be on suicide watch. Chelsea Handler should be on suicide watch. Absolutely. Absolutely. The nuts over at CNN, MSNBC, Mika should be on suicide watch. Don Lemon should be on suicide watch. That's right. Every one of these people should be in rubber rims and straitjackets. They're a danger to themselves. Yes, they are. And here's a good question for you. Just something I thought about. So Blasey Ford goes to a therapist where she allegedly has some sort of therapy session, and it brings back or it brings into the open this alleged attack by Kavanaugh and his friend Mark Judge. First of all, why in the world is she in a therapy session? She's a psychologist. She's a therapist. Why is a therapist going to a therapist? Why is a psychologist going to a psychologist? Can't they figure it out? Why do you have to go to a psychologist if you're a psychologist? Or a psychiatrist if you're a psychiatrist? Why would a butcher have to go to another butcher to find out how to properly dice up a slab of beef? Why would a mechanic have to call another mechanic to find out how to change an oil filter? Why would an expert in one field go to another expert in a field and help them try to figure something out? If they're experts in the field, they should know how to figure it out. So you have a shrink going to a shrink, sitting around with a bunch of crazy people who also have sought out a shrink, so they can sit around in a session and do God knows what. Hypnosis sessions, self-hypnosis sessions. Who knows what's going on with those crazy people in those crazy meetings? It's a freak show. This entire thing has been a freak show, and I'm not digging it. The entire thing has been a charade. And like a lot of you, I'm sick and tired of it. It's got to come to an end. Sick of the fuckery. That's what this is, fuckery. And I'm sick of it. A lot of you are sick of it. It's time to blow the whistle on the whole damn thing. I've seen enough. So have all of you. And I'm telling you, it will never stop. It is not going to stop. Not going to stop. That's why I said we have to bring these people to justice. We have to throw them in jail. We have to get them off the street. I mean, they're criminals. You know, if you don't throw the criminal in prison, he doesn't stop committing crimes. You have a murderer, you take him off the street. You have a bank robber, you take him off the street. These people are every bit as dangerous. They need to be taken off the street. And need to be thrown in prison for their crimes. First, you have to expose the crimes, and that's in the process of happening. And once it's been thoroughly exposed, then you need to hold them accountable. Now, I don't know what that means in Washington, D.C. They say that a lot. Hold them accountable. Hold them accountable. Well, I don't know what that means in Washington, D.C., but what that means here, where I live, it means you're going to jail. We should not stop pushing until these people are all locked up, held accountable for the crimes in prison. If it was anyone other than Trump, I would say it's not going to happen. They would cover everything up, clean everything up. Everybody would be taken care of. They would solve it the same way they do in the mafia. When you have in old days, when you had a fight between families, crime families, they'd slaughter each other for a few months, and then the heads of the families would sit down and they'd work it out. What do we have to do to make this thing right, to stop this stuff? What do we got to give you? What can we give you? What can you give us? What can we do to resolve this, to stop it? And they'd work it out. That's how mobs, organized crime organizations operate. And we are talking about a global organized crime network. The deep state, the New World Order, the globalists, whatever you want to call it. It's an organized global crime syndicate. Organized global crime syndicate. And it must be shut down. It's dangerous to the Republic and to the world. We've seen what they've done. They cheated that louse, Bernie Sanders, and got away with it because he let them. They tried to cheat Trump. He beat them. They've gone after Kavanaugh. He beat them. But they're not going to stop. There's nothing they won't do. And when you get to the very bottom of this, like I've said in many videos for a long, long time, you will find the rotten Reverend Clinton's fingerprints all over every bit of it. She was behind the Bernie job. She was behind the Trump job. And she's behind this job. Well, we have a new jobs report in. 221,000 new jobs. Wow, that's strong. Unemployment rate down to 3.7%, the lowest since the year we walked on the moon. That would be 1969 for those of you who weren't there. I remember it well. They rolled a TV set into our classroom. I was in, I think, second grade. Old black and white TV. Turned on the TV and we watched the moon landing. 1969. That was a long-ass time ago. And that's the last time we had unemployment as low as 3.7%. Many of you weren't even born then. 221,000 jobs. That is strong, my friends. And it's going to get much better. That's the unbelievable part. We have Trump's approval rating in the recent Rasmussen poll that came out on Thursday. 50% approval. Sitting at 50%. Now, sometimes Rasmussen has a tendency to be a little more favorable to Republicans. I'll agree with that. But let's just say they're off even 2 or 3 points. He's still sitting probably 47, 48%, and he may be truly at 50. That's amazing, considering. Keep in mind that when Barack Hussein Obama, who's also deeply involved in this entire fiasco, Barack Hussein Obama was only sitting at 42% when he approached his first midterm. And the Dems think there's a blue wave coming? I don't think so. They're not going to win the House. And they definitely ain't going to hold the Senate. Or gain the Senate. I think the Republicans are going to gain 3 seats. They're going to hold on to what they got. They're going to gain 3 seats in the Senate. And I think that they'll hold on to the House. Could be close. I expect the Democrats will pick up between 12 and 18 seats maybe, but they need 24, I think. 23 or 24. I don't think they're going to get there. I don't think they are going to get there. We've seen the enthusiasm just in the last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, Democrats had 10 points more in enthusiasm. Right now, Republicans are showing 7% more enthusiasm, 7 to 12% more enthusiasm than Democrats. That's just in 2 weeks. You've had a 7 to 12 point swing in enthusiasm. Absolutely unbelievable. Democrats dropping, Republicans rising because of the Kavanaugh thing. They thought somehow it was going to help them. So not only are the Democrats evil, they're stupid. They're stupid and evil. And a little ugly on the side. Stupid and evil, a little ugly on the... Wasn't that a Frank Zappa tune? No, that was Dumb All Over. Dumb all over, a little ugly on the side. Dumb all over, a little ugly on the side. Yeah, that's what it was. Off of the You Are What You Is album. Let's see. Liberals are now turning on Avenatti, blaming him. They're the ones who made Avenatti. Without them putting him on TV 40 times a day, no one would even know who the hell this guy is, other than his association with Saggy, who's yesterday's news. He would be yesterday's news right along with her. Now they actually consider this guy a serious candidate for president. You actually have people on CNN and MSNBC taking this guy seriously, interviewing him about his serious possible run in 2020 as a Democrat nominee. You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. This guy's a clown. This guy's a straight up clown. And he's probably going to end up in legal jeopardy, criminal legal jeopardy, before it's all over, because this guy doesn't know when to shut his mouth and go away. His act has gotten very old. He's now starting to annoy people. And now you have liberals blaming him. It's like, oh, this Blasey Ford thing was going great until you came along and dropped Miss Swetnick on us. Swetnick having absolutely no credibility whatsoever. And she's also possibly facing some criminal liability. So now they're ticked off at him because but shouldn't they have known on day one that anything that comes out of this guy's mouth or anything that this guy's involved in is a circus and a freak show and has no credibility whatsoever? They're the ones who made this guy. They're the ones who said we should listen to Avenatti. Oh, he's got some good stuff. Oh, he's got a serious person now. Oh, he's right on this thing. He's going to expose the whole. He's going to take down Trump. Him and Saggy. They're going to take down Trump. Isn't that what Mad Max told us? Oh, and then he's going to take down Kavanaugh. Yeah, he's going to do all that. This guy's an idiot. Total, complete idiot. Do they give a law license to anybody in California? What do you think you have to do to get a law license in California? I'm thinking not much. I've never seen so many damn, absolutely stupid people with law degrees, and they get them from California. New York isn't much better. Unbelievable. So, there you go, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to TowerGate today. Winning. Kavanaugh is the new Supreme Court Justice. We now have a clear 5-4 majority. The liberal agenda has just now hit the reverse, slammed into reverse. Transmission dropped. It's laying all over the road. We were going 60 miles an hour down Liberal Highway, and we just slammed it into reverse, folks. And you know what happens when you slam into reverse at 60 miles per hour when you're going forward and you hit reverse. It's not good for your transmission. Not good. And that's what just happened to the Democratic Party, to the liberals, and to their dreams. Because this is how they get things done, through the courts. Not going to happen. We now have Gorsuch, and we now have Kavanaugh. They're very young guys, relatively speaking, for Supreme Court justices. They're going to be around for a very long time. They're going to overturn a lot of left-wing crap. And guess who's next? Guess who's next? Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She won't last much longer. She'll be replaced pretty soon as well. And hopefully with a good libertarian type, originalist, constitutional Supreme Court judge. And then we'll have a 6-3 majority Only gets better. We just keep on winning. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be back tomorrow with another TowerGate. Thanks guys. See ya. Bye.